Okay. Did you want to talk about the Mizuki thing, or did you want to save it for another time when we would have more time, preferably?
Well, I'm absolutely down to talk about it, but
If you don't think it's
I
going
just
to
don't
take
know
that
how long it
long,
would
sure.
take.
I'll bounce off of you because I'm curious what you're going to say. I'm assuming that you have things already ready to say in your memory, and you're afraid if we wait, then you're just going to forget some of
I
it.
did write down, just in case, I wrote down some stuff earlier for one aspect of it, but it's more like the chapter one integration is what I wrote down. The rest was just
Okay.
gonna be us coming up with stuff for the
I
most part.
mean, sounds at least like you're passionate with it right now. So if you do it
I
later,
think
you
it's
just
a
might
cool
not be.
idea.
Okay, okay. We talked about it. You might as well just go ahead present the idea.
Okay,
Well,
so
let's see.
go to the rewrites tab.
Okay.
Now I don't want you to read ahead too much. I want, because one of the funniest ones is just the first idea I read. So try not to look.
Okay.
Try not to look at the middle of the screen.
Okay. Okay.
um,
Okay. So,
so
yeah.
the idea, so like the premise isn't necessarily to say, by the way, for everyone watching, the premise isn't necessarily to say that this is better or whatever. It's not even a normal what if where you say like, oh, what if Pain captured Naruto? What would the characters do? Blah blah blah. The idea is it's kind of like that one we did with Zabuza, where we said like, what if Zabuza lived, or we did what if Kimimaro was integrated earlier thing. Remember that one?
Yeah.
It's basically it's like a cool idea to think about, and if this was going to be in the story, how would we go about doing it? And then we would see, what we think at the end. That's the idea. And so, more specifically, the thing in question is, what if Mizuki, the chapter one villain with the white hair who tries to kill Naruto and all that jazz, what if he was incorporated later on in the story as an actual character, probably an antagonist for Naruto later on? Because as we know, he's a one chapter character. He's there, then he's gone. So, what if he was going to be incorporated more? What would we do, and how would we go about everything? So I thought of a couple of ideas just off the top of my head, and you can obviously combine any of these, as many as you want. They're just different ideas I thought of. And I will say, for all of these, we already agreed with the Daigo rewrite reaction that this should just be there anyway. But I think it's almost even more important that if Mizuki's going to be taken as an actual antagonist to worry about, Naruto is using the QBIs when he does the 2000 shadow clones against Mizuki here. Because
Yeah.
we need Naruto to just be stronger so that we can take Mizuki more seriously.
Just like
I
versus
just think that
Kimimaro.
works even more importantly here.
Exactly.
Huh?
Just like versus Kimimaro. In fact, that
Yeah,
could have
when
been a
it's
really interesting
it,
parallel.
no, exactly. And then like as a power scaling point, just real quick, because this actually works. Okay, actually, I'll get into this after. Now I want you to read the first idea.
Okay, real quick. So, incorporating Mizuki Lane's story. Does this mean that we're removing him from chapter 1 and introducing him here, or is he coming
No,
back here?
He is in. He is, yes. He comes back. So he's in chapter one, mostly the same. Obviously, there will be some revisions that I'll discuss, but
Okay.
generally the same premise. He's gonna trick Naruto, try to steal the scroll of sealing, and all that, and he's gonna come back later on and be used in however way we decide. However way we decide.
Okay. So are we also excluding the filler where he does come back under Orochimaru's tiger form chimera thing?
We are going to exclude the filler. However, that does not mean we can't use some of the concepts in the filler. In
Okay.
fact, one of my ideas bounces off of some of that idea.
Gotcha. Well, considering it is canon that he was like in cahoots with Orochimaru anyways in chapter 1, I think that works as it is.
Well, okay, I know what you're saying. I know what you're doing there. Okay.
One
but anyway,
thing I want to point out is that I agree maybe not agree because you haven't said this, but I always thought it was weird how Mizuki was in chapter 1 and then just never shown again and never brought up or talked about again either. It did feel weird to have him just be almost like separated from the Naruto story entirely. Like I get like it's a prologue or whatever, chapter 1 thing, but it feels weird that he just should, in my opinion, be there. Because you could say, like, oh, he's just some random guy. He's not really just some random ninja. He is a well-respected Konoha Chunin. He's just there in the academy. It's like, he was
I
Aruka's
agree. I
friend.
completely agree. I always thought it was weird. When I first found out that filler was a thing, it blew my mind that Mizuki doesn't return at all in the manga.
Yeah.
I will say he is on the 0.1% level, ever so slightly mentioned after chapter 1. You have Ebisu saying, like, I'm not a lightweight like Mizuki in chapter 2. And there's a scene, I don't remember when specifically this was, but there's a scene of Naruto. It's like when he's having like flashbacks of
Yeah.
things. There's like one flashback of like Mizuki saying like you are the nine-tailed fox or whatever, and that Naruto thinks about. It might be in the Gaara fight when he's thinking about like Gaara's past. It might be there, but that's as much as you get. Like you get like 2 panels of reference at the most for the entirety of this series. Like Mizuki's just forgotten, and it did. I completely agree. It always baffled me because I personally love Mizuki. Like I understand. I like. I'm a Mizuki stan, bro. I thought he was cool.
Yeah.
I like his like manipulative characters of villain. I just like his design. I like his personality. I liked Mizuki and I wanted him to come back. And I actually greatly appreciated that the anime did give him something. Especially Jack Mizuki's cool. He's fucking beating Shizune and Jonin up and shit. It's just like, like I wanted Mizuki back, which is why this idea even popped in my head because I like Mizuki. Okay, I understand. Not everyone cares, but I thought he should have come back, or at least there was good reason for him to come back in some capacity.
Yeah.
And anyway, and the idea of this is to think of, well, what are some cool ways we could do it?
Okay, so before reading yours, I have a couple. I feel like it'd be fun to say mine first instead of last because I'm assuming that there's a high likelihood that some of our ideas either are the exact same or there's heavy similarities or parallels between the two, in which so I think it'd be hilarious.
Definitely for sure. I just pray you don't say the first one on there, which is the most interesting one. I pray you do not think of.
Okay. Well, I have a couple ones. So the first one
by
that I
far
have,
the most unique one.
I don't think it's gonna be my first one at least. My first one is remove Kabuto entirely and have Mizuki fill his role. Mizuki is Kabuto in this case. Is that your first one?
Bro, you're trolling me.
There's no way. I promise on my life I didn't read it. Okay, let me read your first one. Mizuki is Kabuto.
You're trolling me.
Okay. Before we continue with that one, I'm gonna say my second one. I'm gonna die laughing if the second one is also your second one. I promise. I swear on my life, I have it right. I have my eyes closed. My second one is, again, this isn't gonna make much sense at all. But Mizuki is one of the Edo Tensei that are revived, and Naruto has to fight him when he comes across him in the war arc.
Okay, I didn't think of that one, but that's a funny one.
Okay. That one makes a little bit less sense because I guess that just implies that Naruto's killed him. But yeah.
It's also kind of just like
Beat
bro
him
is so many leagues above that Mizuki at this point.
I know, yeah, exactly. Yeah, like KCM Naruto right across. Keep on. A weaker Mizuki. This is Edo Mizuki. It's just weak.
Well, okay. Interesting that okay, so I'll add a few others before we get into some of the specifics.
Okay.
You can skip over the second paragraph real quick. That's more like application stuff.
Well, a
other
few
ones more are
You could also incorporate Mizuki into the Akatsuki in some kind of way. I have a couple different ways you could do this. First of all, he just
I have to
could
do this. Yes.
he could be Juzo Biwa. That could be interesting. One that you're not gonna like, but he could hypothetically replace Kisame, but then you just give him all of Kisame's stuff, so the Mizuki just is cool in this case. So that he's paired with Itachi. I think that works, considering that
Okay.
dynamic with Kisame and Itachi in that case, especially going back to the Leaf Village. And then
I
when
mean,
they come back,
considering some,
it's
I will
Mizuki with
say
them.
real quick,
Yeah.
considering some of Mizuki in the filler, the filler arc that they do with Mizuki, and attributing that to Kisame's mindset, because Mizuki was someone who was willing to, in the filler, to kill his comrade for the sake of the mission because they were like hindrances in that scene. Kisame's whole thing is that he had to kill comrades for the mission. So you
Yeah.
could do a thing to where even at this time of shinobi history, Mizuki was faced with a Sakumo Hatake situation, and in that case, he chose the mission over his comrades, which works narratively in opposition to someone like Kakashi, obviously, as well as Naruto. Mizuki killed a comrade for the mission, just like Itachi. So you could definitely do a lot of that there.
Yeah, I think this is interesting because for a couple different reasons. First of all, again, when Itachi and Kisame go back to the Leaf Village after the Konoha Crush arc, we don't know anything about Kisame, and to be fair, we don't learn anything about Kisame. Well, not much about Kisame until way later, pretty much around the time he dies, anyways. Um, but like in retrospect, we learn everything about Kisame and his role of like looking over Itachi to make sure he's not a double agent or turns his back on the Akatsuki or anything. I think that works especially with Mizuki, not only looking back but just here in general, because we already know that like who Mizuki is, what he's against, what he's for, etc., etc. And so not only do we know that he's an enemy of Konoha when he returns as an Akatsuki member, um, but then with Itachi it would be interesting in retrospect. But then aside from that, because again, we don't like we just understand that Kisame is Akatsuki and he's like, oh, he's probably a bad guy. He sounds like we don't know. We can't like confirm anything, even though he comes across that way, just based on appearance and like presentation. But in this case, we just already know going into it that he just is a bad guy. And then again, especially when he meets Naruto later on in the hotel, that works even more cool because
Yeah.
Kisame is like, oh, I'm gonna like break his legs or like cut off his legs. He like steals the Nine-Tails chakra. But like with Mizuki, that's even cooler. And then like we even get like Naruto's reaction to seeing Mizuki again rather than just randomly Kisame.
Exactly. And another thing I would say is also the Akatsuki's alleged goal at this point is to capture Naruto. And you have Mizuki, someone who formerly tried to kill Naruto.
Exactly.
So that feeling of danger is just very high because you know that this dude is willing to kill Naruto.
Yeah.
So obviously he's willing to capture him. Like
exactly. Like this feels like Mizuki's here on his revenge arc.
And I'll also say real quick before I get into some of the specifics I wrote out, we're gonna tweak obviously the ending of chapter 1 so that Mizuki comes across as a lot stronger.
I agree. Yeah,
spoil that now.
That almost goes without saying.
And I have
Yeah.
I have plenty of ideas for this for different scenarios. I will say though, replacing Mizuki with Kisame, that's one I didn't think of, and that's actually a really good one. I thought you just thought
Interesting.
of.
Well, I think the way to do chapter 1 is whenever Naruto does this multi-shadow clones, that just buys time for the Hokage and the rest of the Jonin that he had to go track down Naruto to get there. So it's almost like an Ishiki situation to where it's almost like stalling. The point is that he is going to kill Naruto and Iruka either way. So it's about just stalling for time by buying the time. In which case he just barely is able to do so in this case, and Mizuki's forced to retreat because he can't fight them all. I think that's the way to do it.
I had 3 possibilities. The third one is definitely my favorite in this case. I'm not gonna elaborate on the third one until we get to the Kabuto one, so that I can use the Kabuto specific way and then extrapolate from there what else we can do. But the 3 general ways would be option 1: Naruto just scares Mizuki away with the 2000 Shadow Clones KPIs thing, which is similar to the first one, but I would say it's less satisfying, so I'm not a big fan. A second option would be Naruto just fights Mizuki for a bit, and then once Mizuki's like losing, he's realizes he has no chance. He makes a last ditch effort to steal the scroll before leaving. I'll get into the scroll stuff later. And he just flees in the battlefield. A third option is for Mizuki to just fake his defeat, where you would see like at the like a few panels later, Mizuki like in the forest as like a shadow, and then he like disappears. And so there's like that ominous feeling. I'll elaborate on this later. That's my personal favorite. Is it looks like Naruto won, but you know that Mizuki actually got away. And we'll discuss that after. I want to come back to some of the general ideas first, though. So a couple other sides. So right now we have we'll come back to Kabuto. Mizuki being Kisame, that's an interesting one. Other options I thought of, one of is just basically he's not Kabuto, but he's just another Orochimaru henchman. In this case, I want him to be a high ranking one. He won't be the Sound 5 and he won't be Kabuto, but he would just be like the other right hand man. And the idea with this one is basically the Tenchi Bridge, you know, but it's just Kabuto, Sasuke, Orochimaru. Mizuki's just the fourth guy looking down at Naruto when they burn away and stuff. So he's like there. And what you'll do in this case is Sasuke's going to kill Orochimaru. Kabuto's going to do his thing. Mizuki will do his thing. So they'll do two separate things here. You could have Mizuki join the Akatsuki at that point while Kabuto does his thing.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Yes, bro.
So
whereas Sai goes to
Mizuki
Orochimaru,
joins the
Mitsuki goes to the Akatsuki.
It's essentially trying to backstab the Akatsuki.
Yes,
so I thought that
bro.
would be a cool one. And then
I like that.
It's a good, because in this case, Mizuki can just replace Deidara or whoever. Like, there's plenty of people to replace. He can get the ring. It's not a concern. That's
like
an option. Other options, another one I thought was really interesting is, now, there is one thing I don't like about this, which is more so Sakura's dynamic with Kabuto. But ignoring that for a second, Mizuki would be in the Tenchi Bridge arc as Sasori's former spy that Orochimaru takes in. So it's not that Kabuto, but obviously this works well for Kabuto for living his life as a spy and all that jazz, but that's essentially retcon anyway, because in the flashback, Orochimaru just showed up to a Stone Ninja outfit Kabuto working for Danzo, not Sasori. Sasori's not the one who gave him to Orochimaru. That was retcon. So in this case, Mizuki would be a former Sasori spy that went to Orochimaru, got broken out, now works for Orochimaru, and that's the Tenchi Bridge rep. So instead of seeing Kabuto, they're like, Naruto's like, Mizuki? Like, it's like, holy shit. So that would be one option there. And obviously, you can also just have him not be related to Orochimaru and all that. He could just be an Akatsuki member. Maybe, like, Mizuki steals Orochimaru's ring. Maybe Orochimaru never takes the ring with him. They just have a 10th ring for Mizuki to be in the Akatsuki. That's probably the most boring one, I will say, but that is an option as well. Before getting into Kabuto, which one of these do you like the most? Or at least maybe your favorite two?
Well, I have a lot to say before getting into Kabuto.
He's Sasori's spy, he's Kisame, or he's Orochimaru's henchman who joins the Akatsuki.
I like
those four so far.
I liked aspects of all of those. I think what you were saying with the Tenchi Bridge of him being on Orochimaru's side, but then going to the Akatsuki there works the best because of what Sai's whole thing at that arc is as well. So it's almost like, I don't know. I don't even know what the word for that would be. Perpendicular arc to Sai in this case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To where Sai decides to do his own thing while Mizuki stays loyal to Orochimaru or whatever.
Or you get the idea. Yeah. Going off of that, so going back to the episode 1 thing, I think another thing you could do is rather than like being forced to retreat, maybe you could do that because I feel like that feels earned. But one thing you could also do is he doesn't mind retreating. He's just retreating because like the others are there and it's bothersome at this point. My point is that he gets the scroll. I think that would be an important aspect here for the plot. I think you know where I'm going with this. Because if he's going to Orochimaru, this can be the reason that Orochimaru has Edo Tensei in Konoha Crush, etc. This could also be what Mizuki does to I swear to God, I'm not. I
I
swear to
feel
God,
like
I'm not. It's hilarious. I
so.
told you there'd be a
Okay,
lot of
so
parallel
what I
ideas.
said,
Yeah,
so what I
this is why
said
Mizuki
slightly
scales up.
different was.
But yeah,
So
and
what I was gonna
Orochimaru's
say with
drugs.
this one, it's mostly the same, but instead of stealing the whole scroll, he rips out he just gets like a page worth of the scroll. That page, it can be what you can do a lot with it, but I thought an interesting one was the Edo Tensei point. His mission could have been to get that so that Orochimaru could learn Edo Tensei. That's why
Yeah.
he knows it for the invasion that comes next, which is an incredible tie-in because
Mm-hmm.
Hiruzen in that arc when he does it, he could be like, how do you know that jutsu? And then Orochimaru could be like, I believe you're missing a page of that scroll, are you not? And then Hiruzen can be like, don't tell me that was your doing or whatever. That would be really freaking cool. And I
Yes.
like the idea of the page so that it's almost like you think for a second. So the way I would do this basically without getting too specific yet is so Mizuki fakes his defeat in this case and it looks like Naruto won, but then it's not focused on, but you'll look at the scroll and it'll noticeably look like there's a section ripped out. It won't be focused on. It's just there for now. And you see Mizuki smiling, like smirking in like the background. And it gives you that almost feeling it's like Mizuki got what he came there for. Whether or not he really needed the whole scroll or not, at the end of the day, he got what he needed, and this is bad. And it makes Mizuki obviously
Yeah.
because he's the nice thing about the faking death thing is from multiple perspectives actually is one you still get to see Naruto beat up Mizuki, this fake Mizuki, but you get to see that satisfying thing. Second, ninjas are supposed to be masters of deception. That's what Mizuki's doing. And one of the earliest themes in Naruto is that a ninja must see through deception. So you're getting that with Mizuki deceiving everyone with his fake death here. And then obviously the shock value of seeing like, oh my god, Mizuki is not only not defeated, but he stole part of the scroll. That's big news, bro. And you're moving forward as he just fades away. You're left wondering like, what's gonna happen because of this? I feel like that would be
Exactly.
really
And
awesome.
I think that's gonna
And
build into this
and then
early
tying it
part of
in with
Naruto.
Orochimaru, assuming he's a henchman of any sort, with the Edo Tensei, I think is brilliant in that
Yeah.
case.
But I think until it's paid off or when it's executed in the Konoha Crush, that's when it's like everything's exploding anyways. But I think until that point, especially early on, especially like the bell test, that adds so much suspense that's just revving up throughout because you're just waiting for it to be executed like a bomb underneath the table that you don't know when it's gonna be pulled or when it
Exactly.
goes off. It's gonna feel like, and you're not gonna understand this reference, it's gonna feel like the strange camera angles they do all the time in the Promised Neverland that make it seem like someone's watching the conversation. It's gonna be so cool because you just don't know when Mizuki's gonna show back up. You know it's gonna be at least sometime soon. You just have
Exactly.
no idea what exactly. So especially the early parts of
Exactly.
Naruto is gonna work so well.
So like I said, you could do Mizuki
Tension.
steals the whole scroll. I think that's just too much because
Okay.
I don't think that they're just gonna. I don't see a scenario to Lee Felix lets all that go. Like a one page, it's enough to be like, it is what it is. The whole scroll, it's like, nah, bro. They can't just be leaving that hanging, and that's just too much for Orochimaru. Like it's already bad enough as it is. It's like you give him that whole scroll. It's just like I feel like that's overkill. I like the ripped page idea. Of course, you could say it's plot convenience that it happens to be the right page, but like I kind of liked the ripping the page idea because my thought was he would just do it when no one was watching. Like it's like a how did he do that kind of thing. But either
I got
way
a couple
doesn't
for you then.
really matter too much.
Couple things. So first of all, I'm just gonna say this, and then you're gonna disagree, and then I'm not gonna elaborate, and we can both move on. So instead of Kabuto, Mizuki just could be Orochimaru, and then you just give him all of Orochimaru's stuff. What do you think about that?
Um,
I
I
think
mean, yeah,
similar
that could
backstories,
work.
anyways.
I think
Yeah, but then you can just
I
have
definitely
Kabuto be
think
who
that
he is as he
could
is,
work.
anyways, as well. So you still have both.
That definitely can work. I don't disagree. Um,
Okay,
I think I prefer the Kabuto or the other idea with Mizuki in this case, but I
I
think
agree.
that would definitely be a solid option regardless.
No, I agree. Um,
Um, I know we
Okay, okay.
haven't fully discussed Kabuto yet, but
Yeah, well, we'll go there,
continue first.
but okay. Something you're gonna love because I've been waiting to say a couple things for a while. I'm just gonna say them one at a time. So the first one you're gonna love, and all these are gonna be a whole conversation. So I'm not gonna say all of them for a while. But the first one, going with the scroll idea, you're especially gonna love this. Tying in with like, oh, it's paid off with Orochimaru versus Hiruzen. Aha, I got a page your scroll, Hiruzen. And it's like crazy. Similar to that, you could have a moment where Naruto and Sasuke are fighting Orochimaru, and part of the reason that Sasuke is like so fear hacks or whatever, whereas Naruto's going in, is because he's getting flashback to Mizuki who stole the scroll, and so it's like PTSD for the scroll because Orochimaru's trying to do the same thing Mizuki's did, steal the scroll, and Naruto could be having
Oh,
flashbacks to
okay,
Mizuki
yeah.
doing that, right? Isn't that cool?
That's a cool idea, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
that works even stronger if Orochimaru is Mizuki in that case,
Yeah,
but it still
exactly.
works regardless.
That's where I got the thought process. But yeah. Well, something I was gonna say there is it can be more than just one jutsu on the page. Hypothetically, I know this is a ridiculous jutsu, but like the face stealing jutsu could be on the page, which could be how Mizuki or Orochimaru could do this in the first place. Or you could also have Orochimaru's thing with Anko, his like uh, Anko's like taking herself out jutsu, and then however Orochimaru gets out of. I think he just does like a simple mud transformation or whatever. But in this case, it could be a jutsu
He
that
just does
breaks
a
it.
substitution jutsu.
Yeah, okay. In this case, he does an actual forbidden cool jutsu that was on the scroll. Because I feel like you can't. It's
Yeah, I mean,
ridiculous.
like,
You cannot substitute out of that jutsu. That's too ridiculous.
I know dude, substitution juice is ridiculous, but yeah. So the point with the page thing, like you can have it be more than one jutsu. That's
Yeah,
all fine. I just think like I mean, to an extent, you could argue the whole scroll's better for the sake of actually knowing what's in the stupid scroll. So
mhm.
there's an argument for both. I just liked the idea that he rips a page out. I
That's
thought that
fine.
was cool.
Well, but another
And
reason
I
I'm
like the
mentioning,
idea of
yeah,
showing the scroll at Naruto's back where there's just a ripped page cut out. You don't see Mizuki holding the page. You just see the spot where it was ripped, and then you see Mizuki smiling. And I thought that was just a cool, ominous way to approach it.
another reason I'm saying this though is it changes it based on whether it's Kabuto or Uchimaru, but either way works. It's just two different ways to go about it. Hold two different conversations. But assuming that when they realize that like the face steal jutsu happened, they know that jutsu is in the scroll. They know Mizuki is behind this. Assuming that Mizuki is
Oh,
Orochimaru,
okay, okay.
that's like a red herring because they're thinking that Mizuki is here, not Orochimaru. But if it is Orochimaru, then it's like, oh my god, Orochimaru's here and he's doing this, and they already know.
Yeah, okay. Is that okay? So obviously, this requires a small rewrite. It's a small rewrite because, as it is in canon, Uncle just knew that this was Orochimaru's jutsu, so
Yeah,
he already had this jutsu long ago. But you could just rewrite it to be the scroll situation. That's a cool idea, though.
right. Yeah. Plus for the audience,
So
because
that
again,
they like
for
because
the audience,
regardless if it is Kabuto or Orochimaru, whatever, they think it's Mizuki behind this when it's actually an Orochimaru plot,
exactly. I think it would be cool
which
if the
throws them off.
audience knew it as well. The audience knew that the face steal jutsu was on the scroll, but we didn't know that's what was happening here. So then the grass ninja that he takes over, you know the name. I'm not gonna bother remembering it. Um, it'd be
Shiori.
cool because like in retrospect, we'd be like, oh yeah, there were hints that was Mizuki. But then obviously at the time we wouldn't know. It's almost like a Reiner situation from season 1 of Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
Be freaking cool. Yeah.
No, I think oh my god, there's so much that's what I'm saying, bro. Like honestly speaking, I do think this just could be better because even though it's
Yeah.
not necessarily integral to the overall story, it's just so cool.
I know. A couple things with this though is that obviously if it's Orochimaru, it's a little bit weird that he was after Naruto in chapter 1, now he's after Sasuke, but he's also kind of like after both. So I kind of like it to where either we're rewriting chapter 1 to where he doesn't just hate Naruto, but he's after the Nine Tails. He wants Naruto's power in particular, or the scroll ceiling for its power. The point is he's power hungry if he's Orochimaru. If he's
Well, I mean,
Kabuto,
that is how it is anyway. He's not after
yeah.
Naruto, he's after the scroll, but he's just like, I'm gonna kill you both. You both know what I'm after. I'm killing you both.
Yeah.
And that's what it's. He's not after Aruka because of anything in particular in the chapter 1. It's just you're the guy who showed up. I know you well, and I'm killing you. Like that's how
Yeah,
it is.
exactly. And if he's Kabuto in this case, then I want him to be a Naruto focused villain and keep Orochimaru a Sasuke focused villain
Yes.
and have them both have their own independent individual villains. In fact, this can play into the Kabuto Orochimaru disagreement in the tuning exams, why they have conflict, even keep that going forward in the future.
Yeah, and so one of the points I initially wrote is if you listen to Kabuto in the search. So the first of all, this just makes Naruto versus Kabuto in the search for Tsunade arc even more impactful because you listen to
Exactly. Yeah.
Kabuto in that arc. Bro is just dissing on Naruto for no reason out of left
Yeah.
field. Like in the tuning exams, he's like, even in his internal thoughts, he's pretty positive about Naruto. He's
Mhm.
thinking to himself, oh my god, if he masters his chakra, he'll be insane. He's thinking this in his head. And then he's on the freaking the search for Tsunade. He's just like, yeah, Naruto, you'll never be great. You suck. All this shit. I feel like for Mizuki to be dissing on him, it's a little bit more like,
Yeah.
yeah, like we know this dude. He doesn't like Naruto. He's dissing him. He's doing the usual. Last time he like tricked Naruto, he's gonna do it again.
I don't know if
And
this would be a good idea
also,
or
it's
yeah.
obvious. It's right off the bat. Obviously, they both have white hair. It's pretty obvious why Kabuto's a pretty early person you think of. Also, Kabuto's a spy and actor. Mizuki's also a paid actor. Bro's just tricked the whole Leaf Village for like 12
Mhm.
years before he did his plan. You know, like this just works for both of them being good actors and stuff. So you can definitely see in character. And then obviously, the moment Naruto realizes that Kabuto is Mizuki, whether Mizuki's actually Kabuto or Kabuto is actually Mizuki, doesn't matter which order. The point is, when Naruto realizes this is the chapter 1 dude, that's gonna hit even like first of all, first he imagine this. So
Yeah.
as it is, Naruto's like, hold on, Kabuto, what are you doing here? That's when he realizes that Kabuto is actually an Orochimaru
Yeah,
right hand
exactly.
man. It's like, oh shit.
Mhm.
In this case, he not only learns that, he then learns that he's actually Mizuki. It's like, oh my god. Um,
Yeah. So the way I was
in
going to
this
go
case,
about this,
like, you know,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, so the way I was thinking of it is Kabuto can maybe be in his Kabuto style hairstyle, and then when Naruto shows up and whatever, he's like, wait, what are you doing here, Kabuto? He could like take off the headband, undo his hair in this hypothetical. It's just gonna work so that it looks like, or he puts on like he ties the headband so it's like Mizuki's style or whatever, and it's just gonna make him look like Mizuki's hairstyle, whatever. The point is he's gonna look like Mizuki, and then Naruto's gonna be like, eyes open, like, what? Like that's how I'm imagining the scene.
Yeah, okay. So a couple things is that obviously addressing the elephant in the room, like you're saying, of Naruto wouldn't recognize Mizuki if he was Kabuto in the tuning exams, in the Forest of Death. But why wouldn't he? That's Mizuki. Well, I think the obvious explanation would be he'd be using the face sealing jutsu, if not like a transformation jutsu. But I think face seal would be more suiting, considering Orochimaru's doing that anyways.
I mean, hell, bro. Orochimaru just freaking changed his hairstyle in Elfin, and no one caught him during the prelims. So I mean, apparently it's not that hard to trick people.
Okay, well that's regardless of the point. My point is later on when Naruto does figure it out in the search for Tsunade arc, I think that he would recognize Mizuki and realize that Mizuki is one of Kabuto's henchmen. So that's not the craziest thing because he thought it was Kabuto at first and he thought Kabuto was fine. But then after Mizuki starts rubbing it in, then he does the transformation jutsu to what he looked like in the Forest of Death. And that's like a double whammy for Naruto rather than the single whammy as it is now. Like, oh, you
Yeah,
were Mizuki
exactly.
back
So
then.
I mean, and you can pick. It doesn't matter which order. Like if you, out of curiosity, would you prefer Mizuki to be using a transformation jutsu in chapter 1, so his actual appearance as Kabuto, or would you prefer him
No.
using transformation jutsu in the Force of Death and stuff?
Force of Death fuming. Just
No,
no
just
words.
leaves.
Like tears
Either way
behind
works
him.
there. So I will say real quick, going back to chapter 1. So if we're using Kabuto, so this is what I thought would be a
Mhm.
really cool way for to have the Mizuki fight situation where he like escapes and all that. So where did I write this? Okay. So there's other ways you can do it. So like I'll give you the boring ways. One is just he does a delayed substitution jutsu or a delayed shadow clone poof and all that. More interesting though, if he's Kabuto. Mizuki will have been using Kabuto's dead soul jutsu. You know, the one he uses to manipulate the Anbu guys versus Kakashi and make them look like Kabuto. He would just do this jutsu. He's manipulating it for a short while. It's just long enough for this fight. Um, it deactivates basically when Naruto wins. And so Naruto will think he accidentally killed Mizuki. They're laughing about it. Like they're like, oh, I think I went too far, and he's just like dead. But in reality, we would see he just defeated, the dead body Mizuki's controlling. You see Mizuki watching from the shadows with this page of the scroll stolen when
Okay.
nobody noticed, and he's like smiling. And how Mizuki did all this would be completely ambiguous. We would have no idea until he uses it again versus Kakashi. And then you're like,
Mm,
oh, that's what he was doing in chapter 1, which I think would be
okay.
really cool, especially since that jutsu doesn't get used very much at all. So
That can
this would
work.
be like a cool other way.
Yeah. And then obviously Jonin and Hokage also have their distinct power gaps based on that as well. Okay. And then I think it's hilarious having Mizuki and Aruka on the same team in the Forest of Death with him unknowingly doing it. So okay, here's where I've been trying to get to
I
something for a
agree. That's
while.
the part.
So because Kabuto's whole team in this case is going to be allies with Naruto's team in the Forest of Death. As it is in canon, it's revealed that Kabuto's a bad guy working with Orochimaru after the Forest of Death before the prelims. In this case, are we going to have that be the same to where that's where it's revealed that Kabuto is Mizuki and that his face was stolen earlier? Or this is hilarious. Are we going to rewrite it to where we know it as soon as like the face jutsu is revealed so that we know that Kabuto is Mizuki? And then in this case, it's going to be hilarious on both fronts because it's going to be like Kabuto is being forced to be friends with Naruto, but like he has like an inner Sakura to where Mizuki's just freaking out, angry, upset, steaming, fuming. And then same with Aruka. Like he's just having to put like he's forcing this fake smile with Aruka, his teammate, his friend, his ally, when deep down he hates his guts internally. And it's gonna be the like funniest comedic scene throughout the Forest of Death that whole time.
So given this hypothetical where Aruka is just in the Forest of Death as a Genin, you have to go with that one because the way it is in canon, they get to the room where like Aruka meets Naruto and them, and Orochimaru is the one who's greeting Kabuto's team, and they're like talking about all the stuff they did. You can't just do that with Aruka there unless they're gonna kill Aruka. They're writing that in there.
Well, Aruka obviously doesn't die here. We could just have someone else greet the team or whatever. Could work.
Yeah, so but then you wouldn't be getting, so you have to get the reveal even later. I guess your reveal in that case would have to probably be like the Baki scene when they're like talking about betraying Konoha or whatever.
That could work because that'd be interesting to learn it along with Hayate, if that's what you're referring to.
Another thing you could do in light of that also is don't even have Kabuto there, just have Mizuki talking to Baki about destroying the village, and he's got the sound headband, and you're like, wait, what? Mizuki's the sound village? And Hayate's like, Mizuki? Like, he works for the sound village? We haven't heard from him since that time he left with the scroll or whatever. That could also work.
That could be really cool, actually, to have us learn at the same time that Hayate learns that Kabuto is Mizuki. Because in this case, it's like Hayate wanted to run away. This reminds me of our Obito rewrite, where Kurenai figures out that Obito is the masked man and tries to tell the Leaf Village, but gets intercepted before she can. But in this case, it's even cooler because this would be us revealing to the audience that Obito is the masked man as well.
Yeah, that might be. I think in this case, if you're gonna do Kabuto, that might be the best time. Obviously, you can just do the Mizuki thing without the Kabuto there as well, but that might be a good time if you want to have Aruka there. You could still do it without Aruka and just do the Yoroi stuff with it as well. But I think having the reveal be at the same time as, because then it might also make you So as it is, Kabuto forfeits. He's having those internal monologues. You already know what he's up to. He's like, I did my job, blah, blah, blah. You could have Mizuki forfeit, and maybe he says some interesting things like, my work here is done. And you're like, what work here? What is he talking about? And you're just curious, like, what's going on? Whereas, obviously, as it is, it's you already know. But in this case, it's more building the mystery before you get the reveal that he's just what he's talking to Baki about Orochimaru and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's a cool idea.
I like it revealed there, yeah. And again, Hayate wants to run away, not to fight, and that's how it is anyways. If we're doing it like this anyways, then we could still at least have flashbacks to the Forest of Death. If not here, then at least when Naruto meets Kabuto, it's like, hey, you're the guy from the Forest of Death. And we get flashbacks like Kabuto with like he's doing the like smile with like the happy closed eyes like Teuchi has, or like Sakura when she does the fake smile.
Tenchi Bridge arc all the time.
Yeah, but then he also has like, you know, like the anime 3 blood vessel things like above the ear. You know what I'm talking about? It's like the bulging veins. It's just like clear.
Yeah, it's like the twitching
yes.
thing.
That's hilarious. I love it, bro.
Just like, oh my god, this kid's so stupid. I like the idea that he just thinks Naruto's an idiot for most of the time.
Like, Orochimaru, I can't believe you ordered me to leave him alive. I want to kill him right now.
Or like I can't believe you were interested in this stupid boy.
Oh yeah, no, that could be a hilarious thing going along with the scrolls as well. He's like,
there's a lot of comedy you could do there, so I'm totally down. Does not care. But that works too.
Yeah. We've done like 12 nested rewrites with this Mizuki thing. Let's get back on track. So, okay. So, I was going to save this for later, but one of... Okay, yeah.
Okay.
All right, can I go?
I was going to say...
Okay, you go.
But you might just go first.
Okay, I'll go first. So, I had another answer, and we'll come back to the Orochimaru thing. We'll also come back to the Akatsuki thing. Another route that they could go with Mizuki. This is also technically Orochimaru. This sort of excludes Mizuki as a character and more is just like he comes back to be something. So Orochimaru is just going to take his body at the end of part 1. And he's not Kabuto in this case. He just is. So he is the guy that wins the battle royale that decides the winner. He just is Kimimaru's replacement in this case.
Mizuki.
Yeah. But that's kind of cool though, because that means throughout all of Shippuden, until Sasuke kills him, that is Mizuki. Which also is cool, considering Sasuke is killing Mizuki's body. That's parallel with Naruto or whatever.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Yeah. I'd say it's the least impactful, but it's definitely cool. I mean, it's cooler than what we get to an extent, because at least it's just like, yo, that's Mizuki.
I mean, that can also play into why Naruto gets so enraged at Tenchi Bridge. It's not just Sasuke. It's also because he's facing against Mizuki.
No. Imagine Orochimaru, he takes off... Well, I like to say he takes off his face and shows Mizuki's.
Exactly.
But would that make Naruto but would that even change anything? I guess, because why would he be like... Why would he be mad that Orochimaru did that to Mizuki?
I mean, it's just one more layer at the very least. Well, no, it's not like, oh, my enemy, I'm glad he's dead. It's the fact that he's having to face Mizuki. Like, he's seeing someone that he doesn't like. Is how Naruto would be looking at it.
Yeah. 2 people he doesn't like.
I mean, it's kind of similar to what he does against Hiruzen. He takes his face off. He's like, you monster, how could you resort to that jutsu? Hiruzen didn't know who that old woman was. Not old, but young woman. You get the point, though.
Actually, this is a rewrite. It'd be hilarious. Just an old woman.
Why? I'm never doing that rewrite. Makes no sense. Why? If you want to say Granny Chio, I guess it works.
Yeah, I was gonna say it makes no sense. Completely counterintuitive. I'm not gonna lie. It would be so scary if he's cackling as an old woman.
I like it. I can see it. That's good. That's a thing in other anime. I like that. Okay, that's hilarious. Okay. We'll go back to Akatsuki real quick, I guess. So, going back to something I was saying earlier, assuming he is Kisame when he goes to invade the village again, the with
Mhm.
Itachi, the like Naruto revenge arc. Um, this also works with the Naruto Sasuke parallels because like Itachi is like Sasuke's focus. In this case, Naruto has something to do and just instead of just standing around watching Sasuke and Itachi, he can be like interacting with Mizuki, whether fighting him, talking to him, or just there with him.
I think Mizuki like track. So like you have Kisame being like, oh, he'll show him no mercy, all that stuff. But imagine having
Yeah,
Mizuki do that on top of trash talking Naruto.
exactly. Yeah. No, I think that's great. My only worry with this, I guess it's a concern. I don't know. I wouldn't say this is bad, but it sort of adds, sort of takes away to like the villain antagonist role. Similarly to the Kazekage rescue arc between Deidara and Sasori, to where Sasori's the focus and Deidara is just the fun guy in the background, but he's not like the focus. In this case, you're doing the same thing to where Itachi's the focus, Mizuki's the villain, Itachi's the antagonist. And that's sort of how it was anyways. But I feel like if Mizuki's there, it's either just passively splitting the attention because we already know who Mizuki is, so our attention's just drawn to him naturally, whereas we're meeting Itachi for the first time. But also, I feel like Itachi would just have, or I feel like Mizuki would just have more of a presence than Kisame, anyways. All things considered.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it's bad because you're sort of taking away the focus from Itachi, especially considering he's meeting Sasuke. This isn't just the introduction to Itachi. There's also Itachi versus Sasuke round one. If you want to count it like that.
It just depends. I mean, it just depends on if you overdo it with Mizuki.
But I feel like
Like,
you
I
would
think
just
if you keep it
naturally.
tame enough, it's fine.
Okay.
I'll also immediately address the elephant in the room of well, two elephants in the room. One is just Kisame's arsenal of abilities is fucking cool, and losing Samehara sucks.
You could
So
have
I
him.
want to
You keep
integrate
somehow.
Samehara at least somehow. You could just give it to Mizuki,
Yeah.
but that's kind of goofy. He's not a shark. It works better with Kisame
Well,
and all
I was
that
thinking about
jazz.
that. So what if one of the jutsus in the Forbidden Scroll of the page he takes is the shark
Is
jutsu?
Samehara. Yeah, and I was gonna say the same
Yeah.
thing. It's just not like it makes perfect sense with Kisame, who looks like a shark and is
Yeah.
from the water style village.
Yeah.
Having Mizuki spit out oceans of water and it's just kind of like, where'd that come from?
Obviously, yeah, we'd just be removing Kisame's entire backstory, which sort of changes a lot with the Blood Mist Village and everything there. That was really cool. You could just give it to a different
Yeah,
character, maybe. I don't know. You could figure something out. I don't know.
yeah, and you obviously could just, I mean, in
End
all
it there with
honesty,
Yadra, maybe.
you would be you'd be removing Okay, so I was gonna say you could just have Kisame just replace Kakuzu. I feel like he is the most like we could get rid of a Akatsuki member.
Sure.
Hidan, I'm not changing Hidan. I don't want to change Sasori or Deidara, but Kakuzu, obviously, I'm not saying he's bad, and there's some nice things they do. He works well as to be Naruto's stepping stone, and I don't really want Kisame to be that either. But like, if I was gonna pick a member, I would probably throw out Kakuzu and just put Kisame.
Actually, it's funny you
But
say that. So,
Kisame only makes sense with Itachi. He doesn't make sense with Hidan with the immortal duo.
well, no, no,
Like
no, no.
all
That
the
was going to be
characters
one of
have
the
a
routes I go with.
specific
Actually, I know you're saying that now. Just hear me out. Again, I have a vision here. So, okay. In this case, Mizuki is Hidan. First of all, I feel like their personalities are close enough to where you can just have them be the same.
Okay, they
And
probably
then
want to be cool.
the immortality jutsu was in the Forbidden Scroll. That solves that. I feel like the power scaling is
Yeah.
already going to be similar based on a rewrite, anyways. And then when he kills Asuma, that's leaf on leaf combat that feels more impactful. Especially if you have scenes of Asuma and Mizuki earlier on, or even flashbacks between the two.
Okay. That definitely makes him not a Naruto antagonist, but that's still a cool idea. Because I agree, he is the most he fits Hidan the best. I was gonna
Yeah.
say you could the other alternative I was gonna say is this actually might work. Oh, okay, hear me out on this one. Obviously, you're gonna have less of the cold, hard, serious Kongsu versus Goofy Hidan in this case. it's gonna be more like Datara Toby, where they're both flamboyant and silly, but Mizuki will be the one getting mad, but Mizuki will just take Kakuzu's place. Mizuki will just get an immortality jutsu from the scroll. It can be the
Okay.
heart stealing one, it can be a different one. The point is, he's going to be another immortal person because of what he stole from the scroll.
Sure.
And maybe he gets annoyed with Hidan a lot and they fight. It's just, he's going to be like Date. It'd be like Date on Hidan. Remember the Chikara filler movie arc? Where like Hidan and Data are both together. It's fucking awesome. They have a great dynamic and they argue and stuff. It'd be like that. And in this case, though, the reason this works is because, first of all, Mizuki Kakashi, that's cool. League versus League combat. And more importantly, Naruto's stepping stone being Mizuki here,
Yep.
that hits way harder to me than fucking random Kakuzu. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's more impactful.
It's hilarious.
And I understand, I will admit, the thematic thing that like of Kakuzu would be like, oh, I'm 90 years old, how did I lose to a kid? And Kakashi's like, the next generation always surpasses the last.
Who cares, bro? That's everywhere else already.
I mean, honestly, exactly. First of all, there's that, and also Mizuki's still an older generation from Naruto. He can just say that, and then Kakashi makes the same point. Like, because Kakashi didn't beat him. He's a newer generation than Kakuzu. In Mizuki's case, he's the same generation as Mizuki, more or less. And he's not going to win. But Naruto, the next generation, does. So, if anything, it actually makes more sense this way.
My biggest worries with this is the fact that obviously, unless you're just gonna have Mizuki transform into like Kakuzu's design through his forbidden jutsus from the scroll, you can just give him that. In this case, obviously you're losing the monster appearance of an Akatsuki members as well as the monster like personality. I love that of Kakuzu, as well as the monster backstory of like the waterfall thing. I feel like Kakuzu is one of the, if not the most monster Akatsuki members, which is the entire original point of the Akatsuki in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, Zetsu, Kisame, and Kakuzu are the most monstery, but yeah, but I think in this case though, it is like I said, it can be the same one, it can be a different one. The idea would just be like, give him I mean, like, you know how like Orochimaru's is snaky, like, I don't care what the thing is. You want to use the filler tiger thing? He can have a tiger monster appearance because of this jutsu. Like, the point is, he can still have all that. But
well, if you like Kakuzu, you could just still give him the same inky black strings, and then it's basically the same design. He's still like the weird puppet looking thing.
Yeah, and he just is a Kakuzu.
Exactly.
Sorry, but he is Mizuki's personality. And obviously, the backstory with Kakuzu is pretty cool, like with what the village did to him.
It's not
stuff.
much.
But
I'll
in this
admit
case, we're just like, it's not even in the manga, first of all. It's literally data book only. So, like, bearing that in mind, it's not in the anime either. So, bearing that in mind, this is like extra curricular. This is outside the story itself. So, I ain't gonna lie. I don't think we're losing anything. And in this case, we're just gonna give Mizuki his own interesting backstory. We already discussed some of it with like he parallels Itachi in this case. Of course, you don't need to do that one if he's just going to be Hidan's partner instead. Yeah.
But then that's another thing is that regardless of Kakuzu backstory, sure, it sucks to lose. It's not that big of a deal. What I would consider way more big of a deal is losing Hidan's backstory. I know that might sound laughable because he has like such a nothing backstory, but it actually is so rich for as small as it is. Like there's so much cram packed into it if you actually look into it. And just like do interpretation.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's also out of the manga as well, so it's like, oh, whatever. But I think that I just think that the main thing I was looking at is, well, first of all, yeah, Mizuki can just be Hidan, but like, I feel like Mizuki's personality is an upgrade from Kakuzu, whereas it's just
that's fine.
Either a downgrade or equal for Hidan. Like it's just like,
well, in this case, Mizuki has Hidan's personality instead of Hidan having Mizuki's personality.
Yeah, I know. Okay. But like having but then that's just the normal story essentially.
Yeah.
But in this case, if you just have Kakuzu become Mizuki's personality, that's kind of an upgrade versus the equal.
Yeah, I
And then
agree.
obviously Kakuzu's Naruto's opponent, so I feel like it makes more
Yeah,
sense for Naruto to face
I
Mizuki
agree.
versus Shikamaru, especially given
Yeah.
that Naruto never meets Hidan, so he would just never meet Mizuki in this case, which could be a funny meme, but like other than that, it's
Yeah.
kind of like what's the
So
point?
you do get another Date or a Toby like thing, but then you are also losing out on like the funniness of like the sorcery Date or a thing to where one of them's flamboyant and the other one's as serious as can be.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, like, given the Chikara arc, Datara Hidan was funny. So I don't think it's bad.
Yeah, it's fine.
Especially,
It's fine. It's
like
his
I said, like if
preference.
you just have Mizuki getting mad at Hidan, like it just works. Like
I feel like the way it is now fits the Akatsuki more, but that doesn't mean I prefer. Makes a better serious story, but it
yeah,
makes a
I mean
more
either way it
fun and
works.
satisfying story this way.
Either way it works.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that definitely is another option. I wrote it in. So far I should write in some of the others that we've talked about. So Um, we have Mizuki is Kabuto. We have um. I'll write
One
this
more
one in.
thing I wanted to add for
Miz
the Kakuzu Hidan
is
possibilities. Instead of Kakuzu or Hidan, we could go the route that I was saying with the Orochimaru one, to where he just is the guy whose body is taken over. In this case, it'd be really cool if Mizuki was one of the hearts that Kakuzu stole, and he is one of the like ink clone things,
uh,
right? Yeah,
I would
like
change
again,
the
that's sort
ability so
of,
that you can like tell who the hearts are.
I agree. It is sort of removing him as a character, but I think it works anyways. Another aspect of that similar idea would be, instead of one of Kakuzu's ink heart things, you could have him be one of the paths of pain.
Oh yeah,
Wouldn't that be
because then you would be able
cool?
to tell.
Yeah, not only for Jiraiya slowly figuring it out, but us also being like, huh, that orange hair guy with the piercing kind of looks like Mizuki, but he has those weird eyes and he's not acting like Mizuki. It's like all sorts of stuff. Like, it's clearly tied with Jiraiya's backstory. It's so cool. It's like Jiraiya would recognize him in this case, but so would the audience. Slightly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
That would be
yeah,
so cool.
that's an interesting one too.
Which path would he
Um,
be
uh,
if we had to replace a path? I guess design wise is the only difference, but the Ashra path would just be
okay.
so cool, but I don't know. I
So
don't
I was
know.
gonna say the Oscar path is the funniest, and
I
I kind of
know.
like that one the best. If not him, then the human path
Yeah,
probably best
I
fits
was
his
thinking.
appearance if you're gonna compare them.
I agree. Yeah, I don't like the animal path's voice. If we could change that, it's almost sounds
The
like
thing with the animal
Katsuyu.
path though, that's the Fuma clan member Jiraiya fought. I guess
I
you could just
know.
change it so that is Mizuki, and that's what he's recognizing. But the whole point is he recognizes the
I mean,
scar. So
realistically, say whatever you want about the voice. Why do they have the sound of their voice for their internal monologue? Shouldn't it just be Nagato's sounding voice? Why does Nagato think in their voices?
I mean, he's got that skill, bro.
Who's he trying to trick?
Okay, he's trying to trick. He's trying to trick himself. Um. Okay, so I wrote down these so far. Am I missing any? Mizuki is Kabuto. Mizuki joins the Akatsuki as just normal
Orochimaru.
Mizuki. He's just a separate
Juzo Biwa.
new character. He doesn't work for Orochimaru or whatever. Mizuki is another henchman, but not Kabuto, so he's like in the Tenchi Bridge arc. Mizuki is Kakuzu. Mizuki is Kisame. Mizuki is Sasori's former spy. And in Tenchi Bridge arc in Kabuto's place. Are there any others we mentioned?
Probably. Real quick, do you think that when I cut this up, since I'll obviously cut this part, do you think I should put this into one long Mizuki part, or like 3 different parts of like, what if Mizuki went to Orochimaru? What if Mizuki was in the Akatsuki? What if Mizuki blah blah blah?
It might depend on how long the
Yeah,
parts
it's
are and
probably gonna
how
be over an hour
disjumbled
if
they
it's all
are.
one. Yeah. So that's not bad, but yeah.
We could probably combine some of it. Like the Akatsuki one, we could probably combine Kisame Kakuzu because that wasn't as long.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah,
for
I
like
agree. Akatsuki, then Orochimaru
Kabuto
is separate.
on his own might be long enough. Just as Orochimaru related might be long enough.
Okay.
Just kind of combine it so it's like a couple good videos, I would say.
Yeah.
But between these, so again, you have he's Kabuto, he's a new Akatsuki member.
Orochimaru, he is Orochimaru. We did say that as well.
Oh, right, that's another one.
I said Juzo Biwa for the Akatsuki. He could be one of them, or just a random Akatsuki. I think you listed
well, I was
that.
just thinking like we would just have a 10th member.
That's fine too.
And he's the 10th member. And Orochimaru just doesn't blah 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 whatever with the ring. So Mizuki is Kabuto. He's in the Akatsuki. He's just the 10th member. He has Orochimaru's ring. He isn't Kabuto, but he's another one of Orochimaru's main henchmen. So he's with Sasuke, Orochimaru, and Kabuto in the Tenchi Bridge arc. He is Kakuzu. He is Kisame. He is Sasori's former spy instead of Kabuto. He is Orochimaru. What are your 3 favorites?
That's hard. 3 favorites would be Kabuto number 1, obviously. Probably Orochimaru is like a second person. Just like he's like a second henchman to Orochimaru.
That's another one.
And then third one is gonna be Hidan, even though you don't like that one. Because I like the idea that killing Asuma.
I forgot to write that one in.
Yeah. While you're there, don't forget the Pad the Pain, as well as Kakuzu's heart. As well as the guy that Orochimaru takes over.
Oops. Oops. Okay. Mizuki is one of Kakuzu's hearts. Mizuki is one of Pat's of pain. Mizuki is the guy whose body.
Okay, I have another funny one.
Steals.
So in this case, Mizuki's gonna be a recurring villain, but treated like completely comedy. So he's just flip-flopping between every villain who fails. So after this, he goes to Gato. He's one of Gato's henchmen. Then he becomes one of Orochimaru's underlings. And he goes to Akatsuki. He becomes Kakuzu's heart. And then he's, I don't know, he's Edo Tensei. He somehow becomes a Path of Pain. He's just recurring villain of the week. He's every villain henchman. He's constantly losing. You might as well write that down as one. Just all of them. Yeah, all of them combined.
Joining every villain organization and always losing but getting away. Kind of like Team Rocket.
In this case,
another one.
Would we have a Bizetsu as well? Just there in the final fight with Kaguya. I love it.
Why not? I'll write this in. Mizuki. Oh, hey, I got some more at once. Mizuki is Zetsu. Mizuki. This is okay. Are you ready for this one?
Oh boy.
Mizuki is Obito. I thought of another one. I'll put this one as the last one because it's the most joke. So you remember the Kakashi True Face filler, the first one?
Okay.
So Mizuki is the leader of the Moya tribe.
This is gonna be ridiculous, but I have one. What if Mizuki was Sakumo? Not because of hair color. Kind of works. It's sort of like a masked man situation to where Kakashi thought his father died. The story's the same there.
Are you ready for this one? Mizuki is Don.
Thought you were gonna say Donzo. That's all I love to. That would kind of low key works.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that one higher on the list. It's actually better.
Don would be crazy though.
I would say though, I think my top 3 is almost the same, but I would probably put Mizuki is Kakuzu over Hidan, or even is Kisame over Hidan. But I like having Kisame, so I would probably say Kakuzu in that case. It's the third.
Oh my god.
Mizuki is Obito is a crazy one. That's a revelation right there.
Oh my god, yes.
It's like Mizuki's been there since chapter 1, guy. Like, or Obito's been there since chapter 1. He's Mizuki.
Technically in the what if the Naruto ended at the Bell exams rewrite, we talked on what if Mizuki was Itachi. Might as well add that in there.
Oh, yeah. In that case, yeah, Mizuki gets beat the final villain, but yeah, okay. Mizuki is Itachi. So, I don't care which one you want to go with. Would you prefer that any of these just was in the Naruto story?
Prefer, yes. Because I always thought it was weird how he doesn't come back. So, at the
Yeah, I
very
agree.
least,
And
you could just do
I
one of the
only see
lower
these
ones.
as elevations because even if he is Kabuto, all we're doing is tying him into chapter 1, which is
Yeah.
cool. Let's just say he's another henchman. Why the hell not? It's not like Jugo's, as much as you like Suigetsu, Jugo, Suigetsu, and Karin don't get much development. I just think having Mizuki is just even. He could replace all three of them narratively and just be better. But of course, I like them because they're cool. But and then of course, Kakuzu, I just see Mizuki as the better Kakuzu here.
Yeah, I'll admit those are big changes, but if you want to keep the story largely the same, nothing really changes with the smaller changes. Like if Mizuki just is one of Kakuzu's hearts, like that's just a slight added on thing that just makes it slightly cooler. Like that's just slightly improving Kakuzu just as a passive existence. That doesn't change anything at all though. So I think that works. A slightly
Yeah.
bigger would be one of the Paths of Pain because then you're making him a main villain, or Orochimaru. Again, it's not changing anything, but it's like, wow, that is a little bit bold to do that in particular. But either way, I think it doesn't change anything, so it still works in the same kind of line. Everything
Even
else,
with
I feel like
Kabuto, though,
changes something.
I really don't think it's changing that much. It's kind of just like cool.
That's fair. I mean, you do change Kabuto's entire backstory with the orphanage and meeting Orochimaru. But
Well, no, not necessarily, because you can just have. See, the thing with that one is you can be fluid with however you want to do it. Like, he could be.
That's fair.
You could do one of two things. Mizuki could just be Kabuto's spy persona in the village. So he could just have the same backstory. Mizuki's all just an act. You could do the other way to where Kabuto's backstory is essentially the lie that Mizuki uses for the Chunin exams. You can just pick whichever one you want to do. But the easier way that changes the story minimally is Mizuki just is a made up facade. Because Kabuto's been in the village for a long time anyway. Mizuki's. Honestly, let me look at the data book for this. I don't even know if Kabuto and Aruka's ages. Like, let me look this up.
Which is ridiculous,
Kabuto's
by the
younger than
way.
Kakashi.
Kabuto's doing
So
too
they
much,
might just
bro.
line up age-wise.
Like, why are you keeping an eye on every genin in the entire world? Like, just keep a record of all the tuning that are officially promoted for the tuning. You don't need to worry about everyone else. Like, Kabuto's actually recording statistics of genin who failed the tuning exams. Why?
He just likes his job, bro. So, Aruka is 23 years old in the second data book. Well, Kabuto is 20 years old. That's close enough, bro. Like, it's not like he can easily just fake Mizuki pretty easily. Like, how Mizuki could be this from transfer student. Like, I don't feel like it's that hard. Like,
That's
Kabuto
fine.
can definitely. I mean, to
Okay.
me, honestly though, Kabuto's in the Stone Village doing this, and he's getting away with it. You really don't, and he's doing it again in the Leaf Village. Like, surely he can do this Mizuki troll on everyone.
That's fair. All right. We'll have that then. With that being said, should we finally, because I can't remember anything else I had to say, even though probably a couple things. Should we finally go into what you wrote down? I feel like we pretty much said it all at this point anyways. I want to read it now. Like actually on our I seriously haven't read it yet. Okay.
Well, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said everything on there. I'm pretty sure.
I'm gonna
I
read it
even
anyways.
said some of the stuff I wrote. I said some of the stuff I wrote down on a separate tab.
Okay.
I could paste all this in there if you want.
Let me just read this. Mizuki is Kabuto. They're the same person, just two different disguises / personas. This can be a big moment where the reveal happens. Yeah, could also explain Kabuto's weird attitude towards Naruto in Search for Tsunade, which actually kind of fits Mizuki pretty well. Yeah, okay, yeah, we talked about all that. That's nice. I still love the idea of like the comedic scene in the Forest of Death, and you already know which Naruto soundtrack they're gonna be using. I don't know the name of it, but the one that's like, I can't even like sing it. It's like do 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 do. Just based on that, you know what I'm talking about?
Not off the top of my head, but that's okay.
Okay, I'll find it.
It sounded familiar, but then I lost track. That's I'm not sure, but
it's not like Shikamaru's theme, but like not the core. The bridge is like broom broom. I think it plays when he's talking about becoming a cloud, maybe. No, I don't think that is it.
Oh, I know you're trying to do that.
Okay,
I know what the theme is now. It's like it plays when Naruto pushes Shikamaru off the stadium and he's on the ground and he's just like thinking about the cloud. Yeah, it goes like
yes. Exactly.
It's like the other joke theme. There's the other one there's two different like silly themes.
Yeah. I'm gonna look it up. To be a cloud. Let's see if I can. This is. I can hear it. Yep, it's this one.
Yeah.
Shikamaru wants to be a cloud theme. I love it, bro. Yeah, you already know this is gonna be bopping during that Forest of Death. Mizuki and Naruto interactions. Haruka too. It's like, bro, I can already see some of the jokes about the scroll. It's hilarious. Oh my god. Bro, this is going to the rewrite. This is going to the abridged. Okay. With that being said, let me read the rest of it, I guess. So Mizuki joins the Akatsuki. That's funny because that's also what I was gonna say. As normal Mizuki, and he's a 10th member, and Orochimaru just doesn't keep his ring, so there's one for Mizuki to have, where Mizuki steals it from Orochimaru. That's weird how he just has like a broadened, fleshed hand with the ring on still, and it's like, I guess it's a memento for him. Mizuki isn't Kabuto, but he's another one of Orochimaru's main henchmen. He's with Sasuke. That is one of the ones that I like the most. Like honorable mention if it's not top 3. It's like tied with being Kabuto because I love the Tenchi Bridge arc with Sai.
I like that one a lot too because then you have like the contrast of what Mizuki, Sasuke, and Kabuto all do after Orochimaru's death. Yeah,
so it's like tied for best along with the Kabuto one for me. So some of these are long that you typed out. Mizuki is the guy, but okay, yeah, Mizuki is a constantly recurring villain. Okay, yeah. Moya try leader. Okay, Mizuki escapes having torn out one page of the scroll. Okay, this was the other paragraph that you had originally. Stealing that he takes with him. Potential jutsus to consider for this: Shadow Clone Jutsu to mirror Naruto. Oh, that's cool. Flying Raijin's also really cool. Edo Tensei. Yep. Okay. So, okay. Did you already have that written, or did you write that when I mentioned it?
No, I had those written earlier. I
Dude,
just
I
wrote
told you. Oh my
my other
god.
notes that I had written down as well as another message. Some of
Can't
the other stuff I
believe.
wrote. I discussed that stuff,
I
but I
knew it.
just wrote it down.
I
So it's
knew
there.
this was gonna happen. We're given the same premise. Our brain works the same way. We're gonna come up with the exact same ideas.
Yeah, I know. Like, 'cause I thought, but I like, obviously, yeah, like, so the Shadow Clone Jutsu was a good one, but then I kind of thought Edo Tensei might be the best. If you're only gonna pick one, that's the best
I
tie-in to
agree.
Orochimaru's Konoha Crush. But having him learn Flying Raijin's really cool. Having him learn the Shadow Clone Jutsu too
I'd
is
like
pretty
Shadow
both
Clones.
funny, but also like narratively, that's pretty cool. Like,
Yeah. In fact, they could like tie in themes with however Naruto like teaches Kawaki shadow clones of like, or what Sasuke says to Naruto in the final battle of his purpose of using shadow clones. The point is Naruto does shadow clones narratively correctly, whereas Mizuki's doing it wrong.
yeah. And you
Even
could even
like,
do a thing to where, like, in the battle, Naruto, because he like outsmarts Mizuki in a way, so that with the Shadow Clone Jutsu, maybe he makes Mizuki use too many, or he does something that Mizuki doesn't expect, or whatever,
yeah. In fact, they could
which
play
could be
with the like
cool.
no shortcuts route. If you want to go back to like the Konohamaru Chapter 2 thing or the Obito thing, and how that could prove or debunk the Boruto thing, they defined that a little bit better with this idea, if this is canon. Or what cheating is in Naruto, quote unquote, which would clear up the ridiculousness behind the scientific ninja tools in all three of the Naruto tuning exams that we've seen. So, I feel like as well as just tying in like the
Especially when
Momoshiki stuff, it could just help
complaining
there
about
as
cheating, and
well.
Hayate's just like, no, that's allowed. Like, no, anything else?
Okay. So yeah, so you wrote down a lot of stuff here. More Mizuki what if stuff. Okay, yeah. So you wrote down all that. Wow, that's incredible. I don't know what we're gonna do with that, but it's written down.
It's there for reference. Rearranging it.
That's fair. I'll just have to remember not to delete it. I'll probably just copy paste a lot of this over to the abridged.
I think the one thing I wouldn't delete is probably the rewrites, unless it gets too big, because those are like the best ones to save, I think.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I like this shadow clone. That's so cool. What other from jutsus we've seen? So okay, this is hilarious. I was also just thinking the whole time. I never said out loud because this doesn't make sense. But if Mizuki just had Toby Rama's Thunder Sword from the scroll somehow, it just doesn't make sense.
I thought of that one too, not gonna lie, but it did make sense.
I know, yeah. Well, you could have it be like, what if the summoning, or what if like the Forbidden Scroll is actually secretly a summoning scroll, and it's like the Uchiha Stone Tablet, to where like the Forbidden Jutsu's on it, it's like a decoy, it's like a red herring to distract you, so you don't realize it's a summoning contract scroll for the Thunder Sword, implying the Thunder Sword's even stronger than any other jutsu on there.
It could be a thing to where it just has like the, you know how like some jutsu require you to write like stuff down. It can be like it has the contract to summon the sword in the scroll
Oh yeah.
without being anything more complex than that.
Kind of like Naruto's summoning
Like
thing with
Sasuke's
Nine
shuriken.
Tails. Or Sasuke Shuriken, yeah.
Yeah. Or
I was thinking
Tenten's
tying
whole
into the
arsenal.
Naruto's key or whatever with the seal. Does Naruto still have that seal? Ninetales died. I understand the seal is unsealed, but does he still have the seal? I think he would, right?
I wish they showed us.
Like, you
I think
can't
he should.
hypothetically just store Kurama inside someone who doesn't have the seal. The point is that you seal Kurama inside of them. You could theoretically just shove any tailed beast inside Naruto because he has that empty seal now. I think.
I
Like,
feel
you
like
wouldn't.
they would in series they wouldn't have him have it, but
Yeah, obviously. Like,
that's
I don't
that's
think
how it
you
should.
would need to make a new seal. You would just need to know whatever jutsu to have the chakra go inside of the existing seal. It's basically the same thing, but not really.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, with that being said, that was a lot of Mizuki stuff. You wrote Mitsuki, not Mizuki.
probably a typo. Where?
On the one you did at 3:59 a.m., the like third line
Oh,
paragraph
I see. I
thing.
see.
Yeah. Have Mitsuki
Yeah,
fake
I see
his
it.
defeat.
No, that's actually intentional.
I didn't even read all of it first, so I was like worried when I was saying it. What if it was intentional? I just haven't read far enough. A ridiculous one. Hypothetically, if he was Zetsu, he would just be an Otsutsuki, in which case he could have Boruto tie-ins as well. But yeah, he is Shibai.
I thought about doing he is. That's so ridiculous.
Well, I was thinking he is the ramen man, but that's so ridiculous that it doesn't even work, even as a ridiculous thing. A crazy one. This is all okay. This would parallel Sasuke's story. What if Mizuki was Aruka?
Well,
Naruto could
okay,
really relate to Sasuke
I
then with
thought
Itachi.
I just wrote a new.
Ramen guy was Mizuki. Oh my god. No, no, we're not ruining the
He
ramen guy. We're not even entertaining that. Delete that.
tries to kill Naruto. Still does wrong. Okay, can we put in the abridged?
Okay. In this case, I love this as an idea. He's trying to steal the forbidden scroll because it has forbidden recipes on it, but then he steals it, realizes that it has like the most OP jutsus in the verse. Oh, this useless piece of crap. This isn't what I thought it was. It's like using it as toilet paper or something.
Just waste it.
Oh my god.
I like the
Okay, in
idea
that
that
case,
he
the
starts.
Uchiha Stone
No, no,
tablet
no, no,
has the
no.
recipes the ramen guy was looking for.
No, no, hold on. Okay, this abridged hypothetical.
Yeah.
Hear me out. You know what Aruka's like? No, Naruto, don't let Mizuki get his hands on the scroll. It contains forbidden jutsu, all that stuff. Aruka's gonna say, no, Naruto, don't let Mizuki get his hands on the scroll. It contains forbidden ramen recipe. Mizuki used to get those recipes for his own profits.
It has just the
Naruto,
right
Aruka's just
ratio of
trying to
soy
scare
sauce.
because he doesn't want you to have good. No, he's like Naruto. Aruka's scare you so that you can't have good ramen.
He's trying to monopolize the industry all for himself.
He's basically Gato, but like
Now that's a tie-in right there. That is a parallel for the abridged.
actually, there's another one. What if Mizuki was Gato?
I mean, or like the idea we just listed for the abridged, instead of Mizuki doing that, Gato could just unironically be doing that. Like it kind of
I
works
was gonna say,
already as
what if
is.
I was gonna say, what if Teiuchi was Gato?
God.
Or okay, I thought of another Mizuki one, actually serious, but it's also like useless. It's
Mhm.
just a funny one. You know the Gato folk that kind of looks like Mizuki?
Okay. Yeah.
What if that is Mizuki?
Yeah. I mean, fair enough. That's going in the villain of the week, if anything. If anything, that's like a funny place to do it, considering he already looks like Mizuki.
Exactly. Ism.
It's the place to start it. Love it. Okay, we're doing that.
Okay, I gotta